So today I just wanted to take some time to talk about Digimon's official card game that just began a couple of years ago, which is quickly gaining popularity in both Japan and America, and why you should check it out, whether you're a fan of Digimon or not. So I just want to give you a little bit of backstory because maybe you're in the same boat as me. See, growing up, there were a few different card games to play, and Magic the Gathering probably is the oldest, or at least the most original, or the first one that I played when I was a kid. Summer camps were filled with people playing it, and though I dabbled in it a bit here and there, I never really stuck with it beyond maybe a couple of months of playing. Then when I was about 10 years old, the Pokemon card game released, and this was a big one. I collected the living shit out of these cards, but I never really learned how to play. The novelty was more important to me. Since I was really big into the video games, I just wanted to collect them to collect them. Then came the first major card game I got sucked into.
It's time to do.
That's right, Yu-Gi-Oh! This was the card game to get me into card games. I played this like crazy, making a few different decks, using the money I got from chores to buy as many cards as I can, and it was a kick-ass anime on TV that kind of went along with battling in real life, so this was my game for a few years. Now I tried others that began to come around that time because obviously Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a huge explosion in popularity for card games. Even a Digimon card game came out at that time, but I never really can get into it. It was just too complicated, and the art was kind of basic and not amazing like something like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or even Magic, and nobody was really playing it, so I dropped it really quickly. And then in my early teens, around 14, I just stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Altogether. So the very early 2000s, Yu-Gi-Oh! Went to the, sideline for me, and I dropped playing all card games and just kind of reverted my attention to video games, comics, and manga, and I never really looked back because there's only so much money that you can have on so many hobbies. So 2022 came along and I had to get back surgery, leaving me out of commission on a lot of things. But one thing that caught my eye was Digimon's new card game that released only 2 years ago in 2020, and I had seen the art on some of these cards and it was pretty gorgeous. I read online it wasn't a very hard game to learn, and I even asked my wife if she'd be interested in learning with me. During COVID, a lot of people got into things they probably normally wouldn't have if they had more time or didn't have more time. So things like manga, certain TV shows, and a big one was card games and board games. This all blew up, and Pokemon especially blew up in popularity, and it was a good time for Digimon to try to capture a piece of that market. So I'm not going to go heavy into details how to play this game because there's a lot of great tutorials online that do it better than I ever could, as well as a guidebook or rulebook that you should definitely check out, or even an app that you can download that will teach you how to play interactively. I thought all these were great, and if you're interested in this, I suggest doing all three, but especially the app will help you kind of kickstart your way into Digimon's card game. But the simple concept is that you're a player who has 5 security cards that protect you before the Digimon themselves can hit you to win the game. Your goal is to play Digimon and have them strike your opponent's security cards. This can be dangerous as some security cards will have option cards that can destroy you or change the flow of the game. Others will play Digimons themselves after the battle of the security, and others will be so powerful that they'll destroy the attacker based on how much damage power they have. But what's nice is that no matter what, the security cards will be destroyed in that fight, or at least used. That makes for matches moving at a nice pace, and very rarely will you be at a standstill of nobody destroying any security card. Now, 2 unique factors to Digimon that really make me enjoy this game. One is Digivolving, which you get to place one card on top of another. The level has to follow. So if you're a rookie, which would be a level 3, you would Digivolve into a champion, which is level 4. In doing so, it'll cost you memory, which I'll get to in a second. It's the other unique factor in this game I love. But also, it gives you the slight advantage to Digivolve because you always draw a card, and you have a brand new Digimon on the field which can bring in new effects, or they're just way stronger in damage power. So, Digivolving not only looks cool, but now you have a whole stack of Digimon Digivolving all the way to Mega level. Now, another thing is called the memory gauge. Now, I really love this thing. This is the most interesting mechanic I've seen in a card game in some time. You and your opponent actually share it, having a 0 in the middle, and then a 1 to 10 on your side, and a 1 to 10 on your opponent's side. Every move you make would drain your memory and move it closer to the end of your turn. The cool key factor here is when you play a card that, say, costs 5 memory to play, and you have 4 memory left, you can do it still, and it'll bring it all the way to 1 memory on your opponent's side. Now your turn ends, and your opponent must deal with only having 1 memory for that turn. So if he does too much, it'll revert back to your turn, and he can't really do much with only 1 memory. This makes memory gain a lot more fun and a lot of different ways to play different cards. The best way I can kind of come up with it almost feels like a tug of war. It's a very simple yet effective concept, making you question every move, evolution, and option card that you want to play on that turn. See, Digimon is truly a fun game. I played it many times now with my wife, and we never got bored. We're switching decks, which usually focus on 1 or multiple colors, giving you different play styles from attacker to blocker to self-destruction, which can result in summoning some fearsome creatures, and many more. There's so many unique and interesting ways to play this game that it really never gets boring. Also, a big key factor for me is that it's one of the cheaper card games. You can get a starter deck on Amazon, Target, local card stores. So if you want something cheap, this is the way to go. I bought all the ones that you currently can get for starter decks for anywhere from $9 to $13 at the highest, I think. None going beyond that. On top of that, the booster packs are $4 versus most of the competition out there is $5 or $6 a pack. You can also use different websites to buy specific cards to make collecting and creating your deck much cheaper. So almost after 20 years, I probably found a card game that I really can't get enough of. I mean, this can always change, but I don't foresee it changing anytime soon. My wife and I play every night. I taught my niece how to play, which she really loves it. I even plan on maybe finding a local spot or even teaching others how to play and having a game night of sorts. If you haven't played a card game in years, or if you want to try one, I think Digimon is the perfect spot. As a huge fan of the series growing up, and even now, I have a special connection to it. However, my wife and niece, they both hardly seen or even heard of Digimon, and they are really enjoying this card game just as much. Mostly because it's just a blast to play, even if you don't know Digimon at all. So my recommendation is to grab 2 starters and convince your friend, your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your kids, or even your parents to play a few games with you and start having fun, because Digimon is giving that in bundles. Wow, that was corny at the end. I couldn't think of a better one. But go pick up Digimon the card game. It is definitely worth checking out right now.
Hello, Mon. Adorable.